You're listening to episode 22.5 of Stay On Topic. You can email us at stayontopic111@gmail.com if that's still a thing. Or you can hit me up on Twitter at Giltastrophe, or James
at PostJam9,
or Bob
at Bob Ricotta.
So, to my left is the 3-time Fozzie Bowl champion, Bob Ricotta.
Glad to be back, Chris. You should probably give the listeners some context.
That is the name of our championship in the fantasy or fake football league that Bob and I have been members of for 20 years.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we can stand each other for that long.
I know, right? In that time, I've only won one of those. And to his left is the man who runs this podcast from all sides, James Post.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. And I'm Chris Gill, who just got Wi-Fi, and I'm probably the happiest man in Corning, New York. No, okay.
I don't know. There's some pretty rich people who I imagine are pretty happy. But.
Nah, I found the rich to be perpetually upset with something.
Yeah, you know a lot. You do a lot of hobnobbing, do you?
In my new neighborhood. Oh yeah. I am the poorest person in my neighborhood. Easily the blight of the community.
It's probably on a map by City Planning and Development somewhere.
Probably. So this week was out of control bad for the United States of America.
Fair enough.
In Charlottesville, Virginia, a group of white supremacists were challenging the removal of a Civil War quote-unquote hero statue. And just, it looked as though everything hit the fan, but I think it only hit the fan culturally. I don't think there was one dead when a racist bastard tried to mow down people in his car.
Yeah.
And I just, going forward, you guys can call them whatever you want. I am not calling them Nazis. Because Nazis were organized, and there were a hell of a lot more of them, and they could take over a nation. We were talking a max turnout of 700 white supremacists. That's the high estimate. So there aren't many of these bastards, and they're going to die off soon.
Oh, these are just the ones who are willing to show their face.
Yeah, I think
and
this
they're
weekend,
also very young.
This weekend, they learned why their predecessors in the Ku Klux Klan wore masks. Because they got outed all over social media.
And they were pissed about it.
Yeah, and they were so upset. Like, what the hell, dude? What?
So
complaining about being doxxed. Like, if you show your face at a public event and get photographed by the press and people can identify you, that's not being doxxed. That's just being a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were plenty of people on the Twitters and the Facebooks that were routinely outing everybody in the crowd. Yeah. So job well done to them.
So where do we start with? What?
I don't know.
No, it's the whole thing. It started with a rally last Friday, that was about that statue of Robert E. Lee, ostensibly.
Yeah.
People lined up with their tiki torches. They had a dedicated table set up for filling the torches.
A hilarious visual.
See, yes. I thought
guys carrying tiki torches from Home Depot.
I thought they were just to keep mosquitoes away.
But almost immediately, rather than chanting anything about preserve our history or whatever you'd say if you were there to protest the taking down of a statue, the chants that night were Jews will not replace us and blood and soil. And blood and soil was an actual Nazi slogan.
They're not Nazis. They can wear swastikas. They can get it tattooed on their necks and shit. They're not Nazis. Nazis were a political movement in Germany 70 years ago. More than 70 by now. They're not Nazis. They wish they were as effective as Nazis. They are not Nazis.
You're saying they don't deserve to be called Nazis?
They don't deserve to be called Nazis. They're carrying torches from a Home fucking Depot. You're not Nazis.
It was the best dressed rally I've ever seen.
Yeah, some really nice tan chinos
And polo shirts and
right.
But, even though most of us didn't really hear about any kind of escalating violence until Saturday, from what I've been able to tell, looking at some timelines, mostly from the Washington Post, I think they've done a really good job with this. Obviously, that was pretty close to them, or relatively based on their normal coverage area.
Yeah.
They started marching towards the statue and were confronted by a group of about 30 University of Virginia students, some actual students of color and some who were there supporting them, who surrounded the statue and were keeping the marchers away. And within just a few minutes, you had people macing each other, and I think most disturbingly, the white supremacist marchers actually throwing their torches at the counter protesters, which theoretically could seriously hurt someone. But no, it was Saturday morning. The rally Saturday wasn't supposed to start until noon, but people had started gathering in the same park about 8:30 in the morning. So things sort of got out of hand because there really was no plan at that point.
Again, not Nazis. Nazis had a very clear plan.
But it was Saturday, reading Twitter as things developed, that I really began to feel that my country was unraveling around me. Really more so than any time since the beginning of the Trump administration. Just the idea that here are, open white supremacists in an American city marching, shouting racial slurs. Many showed up armed on Saturday, whether they were carrying makeshift riot shields and clubs, or a lot of them were carrying handguns or long guns. Virginia is an open carry state.
Small militias moving in on the as the day progressed.
There was a militia there, and this is one of the confounding factors. There was a militia there who claimed that they were there to maintain the peace. And the Washington Post reported that the local police were concerned when that happened about it may have slowed their response when things got violent, because they were concerned that people would think that those militia members were National Guard members because of their attire.
Right.
And that would confuse things. But, much as they claimed to be there to preserve the peace, they were clearly on the side of the fascists.
Not Nazis. But this is the positive I took away from everything. So you had this big rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, well below the Mason-Dixon line. It's not quite in the middle of that oddly shaped state, but close to the middle. Easily accessible from the south. And they only drew 700. Again, the largest estimate. I don't think this is a huge movement. I'm sure that there are plenty of people who will never say this out loud and probably would never go to a rally. But I don't think this is a large movement. I think that this is the tip of an iceberg of people who would never go to a rally, but still see the Civil War as a war over states' rights and not slavery, who have Confederate bumper stickers on their cars. We've got a lot of work to do in this country as far as race relations. And these are just the people who are willing to show up. I believe that this problem is deep-seated,
These are the people who were emboldened by President Trump in the White House and Steve Bannon, at his right ear.
No doubt.
I'm afraid this is just the first sniffle in a very, very deep-seated disease in our country.
I don't think there are a lot of people that'll pop off on Facebook or whatever about it and, post things that are just factually inaccurate. But I don't think it is a movement. They're as multicultural as we've become. I refuse to believe that this is even close to a majority or even 50%. I mean,
it was enough of
I don't know what percentage to put on it, but I have to believe that more people denounce these freaks than...
Oh, absolutely. But it was enough of a movement to put Donald Trump in the White House.
Yeah, because how many sat home? I mean, I don't blame the Trump voters. I'm not going to do that. I blame the assholes that stayed home on election day. They're who's really to blame for this. I mean, in both the primary and the general. Get off your ass and be part of the system, and this shit doesn't happen.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just agree to disagree on that issue.
Yeah. But no, and it's obviously what happened in Charlottesville was ugly. It was tragic. One person lost their life directly as a result of the action of a fascist who, with all of the courage he could muster, plowed into a group of people with the car.
It's important to say her name, Heather Heyer.
Yes.
You hate to over dramatize, but she's a martyr for this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to.
I don't know, if they were protesting in Corning, New York, I don't know if I'd have the balls to counter protest. If this happened in Corning instead of Charlottesville, I got a lot to lose by, getting kicked upside the head by some 20-year-old neo-Nazi.
Or run over by a car.
Right.
Yeah.
So God bless those people who showed up.
Yeah.
And also not directly a result of anything that the fascist demonstrators did, but 2 Virginia State Police officers also lost their lives in a helicopter crash. They were in a helicopter who were monitoring the events as they happened, and still not clear what the cause of that crash is, but they also lost their lives that day. But oddly enough, it's not been that day we've been talking about since then as much.
No, it was.
It's been the reaction from the White House.
Which reaction?
There
have been 3.
We're on 3. We're on 3 so far.
And what's more shocking to me was the delayed reaction by GOP lawmakers. Why did it take them so long to say, post, do anything official about this? There were a couple. The first one I saw was Orrin Hatch, of all people. And I was like, holy shit, Orrin
was
Hatch?
right there. Yeah,
right on it. Paul Ryan was shortly behind, but the others, man, they took their sweet time denouncing it. I mean, there's no way they didn't know this was going on.
Well, and to be fair, I don't think that being a Republican lawmaker obligates you to have to distance yourself from racists.
It does when you supported the guy in the White House, and the guy in the White House is going all over the map with his statements. You have to. Make a stand.
Yeah, I don't.
That's it. I think the delayed reaction was them not knowing how to deal with what came out of Donald Trump.
Right.
But I just wanted to make it clear that when it initially happened, I was not going online expecting to see tweets from every member of the Republican Party saying, I don't support neo-Nazis, because I don't assume that someone who's Republican supports white supremacists and fascists. But once the response from the leader of their party was unclear, then something was called for.
Yeah. And that was made late Saturday.
Yeah.
Response number 1.
The many sides.
To recap, response number 1
Yeah.
was the one where he was trying to blame the Antifa protesters right alongside the white supremacists. Yes?
Well, that was
the from all sides.
Yeah, we condemn the violence and the hatred coming from many sides.
Yeah.
Many
and that was
sides.
really all he said.
Yeah, I call it the kids will be kids response.
And, obviously a lot of people not happy with that statement.
And response number 2 was Sunday.
Monday.
It was Monday. I thought
Yes.
response 3 was Monday, or was that Tuesday?
That was Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, response 3 was yesterday.
Okay, so to recap response 2, a much more strongly worded denouncement of the events.
Specifically naming the Klan white supremacists.
Straight out coming out
Yeah.
against bigotry.
Clearly written by someone else.
Naturally.
And some talk coming out of the White House, sort of on background, as is usually the case when White House staffers speak, saying that response from Monday was what was in his hands on Saturday.
I've heard, I
And
read
he
one of
did
the
not go
reports.
with it.
Yeah. He went off the cuff, as he's prone to do.
Well, that's his strength.
Well done.
Thank you. So we had the official response, which was written Saturday but given Monday.
And that mollified some people, but just led to a bunch of process stories about why did this take so long.
Right, but if that had been the last word, if he had not deviated, if he in follow-up questions not deviated from that line of rhetoric, it would have been a diminishing story.
Yeah.
By the end of the week, we would have been talking about North Korea again. But never, Donald Trump has never one to let a sleeping dog lie.
Well, and it's at every stage in this, he had an out. He had a written statement that he, obviously went through staff that he had apparently approved, or he wouldn't have had it in his hand to say on Saturday, chose not to go with it. And then Tuesday,
Yeah,
we
response
get
number
response
3.
number 3.
Which is probably the most genuine response.
And it comes in what was supposed to be a speech about infrastructure.
Well, I mean, he was asked a question. He didn't just... Was he not? This didn't come up just...
Yeah, but he could have said, anybody from the Obama administration, the George W. Bush administration, the Clinton administration, at that point in the news cycle would have said, I've already answered that question.
Sure. He had some mealy-mouthed lawyers giving him a statement when he knows goddamn well what he wants to say. And he's the president, and he's going to say what he wants to say. And that's what happened Monday.
And again Tuesday.
Or Tuesday. Tuesday was the yes.
The presser.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what happened Tuesday. I'm president, and I'm going to speak my mind.
And that's when he sent the private sector fleeing from all of his councils.
Yeah.
And to such a degree that he's now disbanding the business development.
The Strategic and Policy Forum, which is the outside consultancy group made up mostly of CEOs or former CEOs, and also the Manufacturing Jobs Initiative, which was the more inside group that was working directly with the White House on, this is what we need to build jobs in this country. The Strategic and Policy Forum technically disbanded itself. They had, after a couple of people had stepped out, they had a conference call amongst themselves and came away from it announcing that basically they were all leaving. So, that kind of disbanded itself, and more people were jumping ship from the manufacturing initiative. And, at some point this morning, Trump announced that he was just disbanding both groups, which, as I said, the one group had already disbanded itself. But
Well, the first CEO to jump ship was from Merck.
Yes.
The
The
pharmaceutical
only
giant.
African American on the council.
yeah,
And as soon as he jumped, the president starts tweeting at him.
Yeah.
Taunting him via Twitter. It's, oh my God.
In Donald Trump's mind, the world is black and white. It's either friends or enemies. And when you
it's
stop
either
being
white people or black people.
okay, when you stop being a friend, you become an enemy. So he couldn't have been gracious about this guy leaving his council. He had to tear him. He had to knife him in the back on the way out the door.
Or so he thinks. Like he in his mind,
And
he
that's what
sees it.
that's what we get by losing the front stabber in the White House. The mooch would have stabbed the guy in the front.
Oh yeah. So at what point? There have been many Republican lawmakers who have distanced themselves from the president since that statement. Lindsey Graham, John McCain.
Well, yeah, I mean those two have.
Yeah, those
Kind
are the
of-
obvious ones.
Yeah, but has he lost the Republican? We see every time we talk about Donald Trump, this question seems to come up. Has he lost the Republican Party?
It was
Yeah.
it the
Yeah,
Episode
are
20
there
or
are
20?
there going to be any consequences for how he's handled this?
oh, not in the immediate future. I can't see what consequences
Well,
are there going
I
to
mean,
be. I mean,
Obviously, it's in the immediate sense, it's hurt his relationship with the business community.
yeah, what kind of relationship did he have before?
Well,
I mean, really.
he got to stand up in the, I believe it was the Roosevelt Room, and do a demonstration of Corning glass with CEO Wendell Weeks.
Who today announced his departure.
Yeah,
To be fair,
yeah,
a
and,
little late, Wendell, but you
well,
got there.
that was a quirk of timing. That was something we were dealing with at the paper today. Clear the intention was for Weeks to announce he was leaving the council, and the announcement didn't get through the communications process before Trump had already said he was disbanding it. So, if you want to take the cynical view, it looks like he was sort of off the hook, but I don't think that's the way things played out as far as the internal timeline. I think the decision was made a while ago.
So somebody in communications is going to have a week off with no pay.
No, I just the way the
Yeah,
bureaucracy works. Somebody crafted the statement and it ran through the cadre of lawyers.
If you're announcing you're going to leave leave a presidential council because of a racial incident, how long do you think it takes for the board of directors to review that language before it's released?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I would have double timed that, but that's just me.
Let's give Wendell the benefit of the doubt and say that his intention was clear, obvious before the incendiary statements, and just bureaucracy slowed it down. Every time something like this happens, I say to myself, and this just might be my own liberal bias, but I say to myself, part of that coalition that Donald Trump put together to win an electoral college victory just peeled off and will not vote for him now. I mean, there's got to be somebody who's like, all right, I can't. I don't like liberalism. I didn't like Hillary Clinton. I don't love the Democratic Party, but I cannot vote for this guy again.
Yeah.
At some point, he's going to lose his electoral college advantage just by losing undecideds.
Yeah.
Because how can you stomach just because you hate liberalism? Are you really going to get in bed with a racist?
A racist, sexist who reportedly likes to get peed on.
Again, with the peeing.
Yeah.
It's
They tried to find the P tape. I showed you.
I know that was once I got it.
It took you a
It's like,
bit.
yeah, it took me a bit. It was a long day that day, but
But, I mean, what about you, James? Is 2018 feeling like a wave election to you? Could Democrats take back the House?
tolerable.
Taking back the House is
Yeah,
taking back the House is not going to happen before 2022.
that takes like 3 cycles to get the House back.
Well, it's going to take redistricting.
You think?
Well, we're not going to redistrict. And I mean, until Democrats take control of some state legislatures.
Well, I'm saying that's the best case scenario.
Okay.
Right now, the gerrymandering is such that it would be nearly impossible, no matter how far things shift against Republicans. The districts held by Republicans are full of diehard Republicans who aren't going to shift.
Unless you get some independent or libertarians into these congressional races. And, it's still not going to go the Democrats' way, but you're going to weed out some GOP. And you could actually see a shift in mentality. I know I've been knocking on this door forever, but
See, I can see a wave election happening if Trump is tied to something like Watergate level egregious.
Yeah.
the P tape.
The P tape would probably do it.
It got, when you said Watergate.
But, it's...
But yeah, I agree. Short of something like that, I don't think an Iran-Contra type scandal would flip the House.
Yeah, and that's what Russia feels more like.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does.
One where if you're a Republican or a conservative, you can find a reason to not jump ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can definitely see that.
No, I just feel like nothing sticks to this guy.
Because it's
Like, even though
there's already a level.
even though public opinion is obviously turning, public opinion wasn't that strong for him the day after the election.
Right.
So, where is there for him to go? He's reached the sort of the base level of his support in polls.
Yes, he's reached his floor.
He's not going to lose those people.
Right. Never.
And if it's a turnout game, if we're gonna jump ahead, to 2018 or to 2020, those people are still more likely to turn out than most Democrats.
Oh, it's...
See, the problem with the timing, and I really hate to use tragedy for political advantage, but that's kind of how we play the game in this country.
Any country.
The timing of this event is so early in the Trump presidency that there will be many, many other things at the forefront of voters' minds by the time 2020 comes around. Charlottesville is going to be a footnote at that point. So unless he does something in, September of 2020, people are going to be thinking about taxes and the economy and North Korea and whatever the news of the day is.
Well,
and that's how he's going to be judged.
how easy was it to heat your home the last 4 years? How expensive is it to buy groceries? That's what's going to drive
Yeah.
people.
I mean, what is it, 4% unemployment?
I mean, if he doesn't move
4.5.
on the economy and people aren't appreciably better off, that's
just
ultimately what's going to move the needle.
I mean, he can boast a 4.5% unemployment rate.
Which has nothing to do with him.
We all know that, but
Yeah.
I mean, politicians on both sides of the aisle, when the unemployment rate is good, they take credit for it.
Yeah.
So he might as well do the same. And then it's up to us, the dissenters, to say the economy is cyclical. You had nothing to do with this. And, most people won't listen.
Well,
like most people don't listen to our podcast.
Fair enough.
unless we do lists. Speaking of which,
Wow. Speaking of clunky transitions.
that's the only time people listen. Yeah, this week's list main topic brought to us by our buddy Lord Buffington. I just love saying that.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out because I know he listens every week.
Why?
I don't know. But my buddy Andrew, who's my best friend, my college roommate, he and his wife are going through a lot of stuff right now, more than really anybody should be going through it, all at the same time with his own family and his wife's family. So, if this, our three old men yelling into microphones for an hour, lifts his spirits at all, I'll feel like the whole thing was worth it.
There's really one old man here. We're just transitioning into middle age.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you're well past middle. You're not going to live to be 100.
Oh, God, no. I may not live to the end of this podcast. All right. So, clunky transition aside.
Yeah, this, again, brought to us by Lord Buffington. The top 10 movies that you haven't seen that make people say, are you shitting me? How have you not seen that movie?
Yeah. And this was a tough list because I can do 30 if I really put my mind to it. So there's no rhyme or reason to this list. This is just kind of the 10 movies that came to mind. They're not in any particular order.
I'm pretty sure
There are tens of thousands of movies I have not seen.
Lord Buffington's list probably takes the cake. Because we're big.
Did he grow up Amish?
I don't know, man. We'll read them off here in a sec, but our list, we consume media and culture and
you may be surprised by my list.
Yeah, that's right. This was the toughest thing I've had to do for this podcast because I grew up with HBO in my room.
Yeah,
Wow.
which I put down to poor parenting.
No, the Cinemax was the poor parenting.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom and Dad. Actually, that was pretty sweet. But so everything before I was born hadn't seen a lot of. And then there was a solid 8 years in the 90s because I had turned 21 and I could suddenly go to bars and there were a lot of girls in bars. So that's what I did in the 90s. So let's go through Lord Buffington's
Just for
list.
some context, I got divorced in the 90s. But anyway.
Again, one old man.
Yeah.
So Lord Buffington has not seen Casablanca. No big whoop. Hasn't seen Citizen Kane. I understand. Now we're getting into the shit. Hasn't seen Apocalypse Now. That's kind of it's required viewing.
It is, but it is difficult sledding. It's not a war movie like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. For the record, James, give us an age range on Lord Buffington.
31, 32.
Okay, so he's a pup. He hasn't seen Silence of the Lambs.
That's a shame.
Hasn't seen any of the movies in the Terminator series.
That's just strange.
That's really, really strange. Hasn't seen any of the Planet of the Apes series, either the classic or the modern. Never seen the Goonies. Good for you. You're not missing anything. It's a shit movie. Hasn't seen any of the Alien movies, which blows my mind.
Wow, the first two are masterpieces.
Aliens is the best. Hasn't seen any of the Rambo series, which
First Blood's entertaining.
It's okay,
and it's not.
It's got some commentary on the veterans
without
back.
shoving your nose in the American flag. It's
yeah. Rambo 2 shoved your nose in there.
Yeah.
Actually, that one, technically, First Blood is the first movie with John Rambo.
Yes.
The second movie was called
Just Rambo.
Rambo. So, and he hasn't seen any of the Rocky series, which is just downright un-American.
That's just a pity.
Downright un-American.
The original, I mean, I will get shit for this, and this may be another list down the line. I believe that Rocky is the best sports movie of all time.
That is a great topic. Sit on that first.
I will. I'll stick a pin in it.
And our other good buddy here, Eric Hoffman, has never seen Shawshank Redemption. Which I'm not stunned by.
It's a very good movie.
Yes.
No, see, that's, and I don't know if that's that generational. That would be in my top 5.
All time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really? It's good.
You know,
I don't get the hype.
I think it was tarnished because it's just every Saturday afternoon on AMC it's on. So
Yeah.
The accessibility has kind of cheapened it. And that's kind of why I'm surprised that he hasn't seen it. You know, just sitting on the couch on a Saturday afternoon, flipping it and thinking, oh, the Shawshank Redemption, I'll watch that.
I know one of our buddies, the commissioner of the fake football league, Bob Benz, is his favorite movie of all time.
Oh, he adores it.
Yeah.
And it's a good to great movie.
I sat down, I watched it, and I was like, wow, that was a really good movie. And then never gave it another thought.
It's good enough to make the American Film Institute's list of top 100 movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's
There's
legit.
something I'm missing.
It's
in there
legit.
Okay. We'll go through our list.
Well, no.
Oh, what are we doing?
Did you see the lists that were posted in response to my share?
I did not. You got those handy? In the meantime, we can fill in, Bob.
Sure.
How
yeah,
you doing, buddy? Haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Did you hear about the Wi-Fi?
You blew me off on Saturday.
Didn't blow you off. Got sidetracked.
All right. Well, thanks for the invite. I stayed home with my wife. Thank you.
Facebook is not going to work on my phone right now.
So,
Oh dear.
you know, the reason why this and other topics like this have been so much fun for us is because you guys have pitched in. We love hearing from you. We love the response that we get. Some of the responses for our embarrassing lists were,
Like last week, you fucking asshole.
yeah, more than one person said I belong on an FBI watch list. And it's really hard to disagree. So
And it's weird because I went out of my way to try and get on an FBI watch list. And
Yeah,
no one
you
seemed
did.
to care.
My sister did. She listened to it, and she's quite concerned.
Really? She commented on my little run?
all three of us.
Okay. I actually considered cutting that whole bit about the legality
You
of...
really probably should have.
No.
And then I decided, nothing I said was inaccurate. So, okay, I've found it now.
Okay, good. Go.
So, we're safe. So from Becky Posts, we've got Schindler's List, Citizen Kane, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
I don't think a lot of people have seen
She,
that.
she apparently thinks that Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is the kind of thing people are expected to see. She made me watch Metropolis, so,
Ugh. Oh. See, and I was saving this for my own list, but I just have a hard time watching old movies because they're so removed from reality that I can't suspend my disbelief that much. Like, I'm sure that in the 1940s people didn't swear like they do now, but they did swear. And yet you watch a movie from the 1940s and they don't swear.
Well, the standards were so restrictive.
Well,
and the studios kept...
That's why it takes me out of the, the belief. It's asking too much of my suspension of disbelief. So any movie that is a whitewashed version of what that time period would be like is hard for me to watch.
Well, I'm just going to go through. I have the least interesting list. So
wait.
You have more.
yes.
Okay, go.
You just don't wait for me to say anything.
You take odd pauses.
Also posted to my share on this was from Mark Webster, also Citizen Kane, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Chariots of Fire.
Jesus.
I don't know why anyone would
I've never seen it.
expect you to have seen that.
Well,
It's an
it was,
Academy Award
yeah,
winner.
I mean,
Yeah. And Titanic.
yeah, it's a head scratcher.
It's on my list.
Really, never seen it.
Never seen Titanic. I've seen the boob scene,
Oh, good.
so I've seen the best part.
Yep.
I've
you've seen
I've
it all.
seen it and despise it, but I've seen it.
I've seen the end, and there you can't tell me there wasn't room for both of them on that
I
goddamn
know.
table or whatever she was floating
Or
on.
just share, like switch off.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, mine is uninteresting. So the aforementioned Metropolis, never seen it, which is weird because I'm big into sci-fi. So, anywho, The Great Dictator, one of the best movies ever
Charlie
made.
Chaplin.
Yep.
The only reason I saw that was because I took a film criticism class.
Okay.
Never seen that.
And a lot of like Casablanca.
Never seen it.
Nope,
Have seen it.
no interest. in
And
it.
Actually liked it.
should we see it? Is it?
If you're of that mindset like Bob, where you just can't get yourself in the headspace to watch movies of a certain, pre like 1960 movies, then you're probably not going to enjoy it. I actually really did enjoy it.
Okay.
Never seen King Kong, the original.
Oh,
Because that stop motion animation drives me crazy. Lawrence of Arabia, never saw it.
no, me either.
A lot of people liked it. Pardon me. I guess the biggie was I've never seen any of the old school Disney movies. The
Like Herbie Goes Bananas? What do you mean?
Dumbo, Cinderella, Snow White, Fantasia, all the old animated movies. Never seen.
That may actually be un-American.
Even at a young
How did
age,
you avoid them?
I knew Disney was lame, and anytime my parents wanted to push Disney stuff on me, I just flat out rejected it. Nope, I was all about the superheroes and space.
Lady and the Tramp?
Nope,
Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
no,
The Aristocats.
almost, because my daughter really liked it when she was young. So
Not exactly from Disney's golden age, but
no, but I'd walk through the room. What are you watching? Aristocrat. Okay, good.
Fox and the Hound?
Nope.
That was my daughter's favorite.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she dug that too. But yeah, just
when you're the best of friends.
see, you should have saved that to play us out.
That's from Fox and the Hound.
Okay,
Never mind.
yeah, let's see.
And the movies of the 90s that I totally missed because I was drinking and womanizing. Rushmore.
Oh, that's a very good movie.
Yeah, a lot of people say
See,
that.
that's Wes Anderson, right?
Yes.
I have a funny thing with Wes Anderson where I either love his stuff or I hate it.
Yeah.
In the love category is Rushmore, Fantastic Mr. Fox. What was the movie they did after Rushmore? He did after Rushmore.
I get him and the other Anderson mixed up.
Yeah. There's another movie that is fantastic.
Wait, which one? Paul Thomas Anderson or Paul W.S. Anderson?
Oh, Christ.
Isn't one of them MacGyver?
No, Paul Thomas Anderson is the one who makes like decent arty indie movies, and Paul W.S. Anderson is the one who made the Resident Evil movies.
Okay. So, yeah. I've actually seen those and not anything. Never seen Trainspotting.
Oh, that's a good movie too.
Yeah, Danny Boyle. But the whole, we're going to glorify drugs and still tell you that they're bad movies. They just don't do a fucking thing for me.
Well, okay.
Fight Club, never seen it.
Another.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a shocker.
It got spoiled so early on. It's a Sixth Sense thing. If it gets spoiled, you really have no interest in
it takes away some of the enjoyment, but it's still an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Even it stands up to second viewing, which would be if the spoilers were, yeah, you should watch Trainspotting or Fight Club.
Fight Club, yeah. And Starship Troopers, never seen it.
Oh, that's another one that's a little disappointing. It's not. I mean, and that's obviously not going to be in AFI's top 100, but
No, but among the nerd sci-fi culture,
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
It had
well, and it's
I just totally missed it.
and that was Verhoeven, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're talking, and it's satire on the level of a RoboCop or.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I've heard.
It had
And-
NPH.
He took such straight material and turned it into something that was really transformative, like a great cover of a song. Like I knew the original
Yeah.
novel it was based on because I liked the old classic sci-fi, and just really turned it into something completely different in a way I enjoyed, even though totally was different than the book I liked.
I think it was one of those movies that went to Showtime and not HBO, and that's why I missed it.
Yeah,
Maybe. But,
Possible.
still worth watching.
And it had boobs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the notable ones. I know I've missed others, but I see a lot of movies, so not much gets by me. But Ricotta,
All right.
what's on your list besides?
Citizen Kane, which is the #1 film for the American Film Institution.
I've actually seen that.
And it's got a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's great.
Is it really?
Yeah, I
You-
enjoyed
you
the hell
enjoyed
out of
it?
Yeah.
Okay. Casablanca, which is #3 on the American Film Institute, and it's got a 97 Rotten Tomatoes rating. Schindler's List, #8 on the AFI list, and 96% Rotten Tomatoes rating.
I saw that in school, in like high school.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
James is the puppet.
This is probably the shocker on my list. 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Oh wow, that is.
Never saw it. Yeah.
Do some mushrooms and watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It's a little hard to get through with a clear head, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Just kind of like mushrooms. They're tough to get through those first 3 bites, but I've said too much. Go on, Bob.
#5 is It's a Wonderful Life.
How have you avoided that?
It's really been an effort. I don't.
Yeah, that's like Neo dodging bullets in the Matrix, man.
I don't like Christmas. I don't like Christmas movies, and I'm old enough to know it's not a wonderful life. So, like, if it comes on, I either leave the room or turn the channel.
It's actually dark as shit for a long time.
Yeah.
So, okay, Titanic. Never saw it. I've seen excerpts, but I've never. Yeah,
Yeah.
the boobs and the freezing it to death at the end. So now we transitioned into like the cultural, like those were like legitimately great movies.
Right.
These aren't great movies, but
I'm not sure I'd put Titanic.
no, I wouldn't either. But I think it's on the AFI list.
It's for its time, it was a technical marvel, and some of those effects still hold
It
up.
was, but it's such a shitty story.
So these are the movies which people of my cohort, like my compadres, will be like, "Oh my god, don't believe you."
Transformers.
I saw that. That was horrible. Never-ending Story.
I've seen it once and hated it and never had to go back.
I've seen it about a dozen times.
Okay. The Sandlot.
Little surprise, Bob.
Nope.
Well, The Sandlot came out in 1993. I was 27. So seeing, 13-year-olds play baseball just wasn't my thing at the time, I guess. Field of Dreams.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an overblown movie, but
But it's still worth a watch if you've got nothing better to do on an afternoon.
for sure, yeah,
Okay. And Goonies.
because it's a shit movie.
It's not on my list, but I also have not seen Goonies. Nothing I've seen of it has ever made me have any interest in watching it.
And if Goonies came out when I was 13 years old, I would have eaten that shit up. But it just came out at a time when I had outgrown that genre.
Yeah,
As a kid, it's like I never saw Space Jam because I was 30 years old when it came out. Why would I watch a cartoon with Michael Jordan? I could see boobs.
and this was pre-internet.
So there are certain movies that are cultural touchstones, especially because I kind of run with a younger crowd. So they're like,
As we learned last week.
oops, I did it again. Wah, wah, wah. Anywho. So, yeah, there are movies like from your childhood, which are from my early 20s, which you would have eaten up because of your age, which I would have outgrown. Like Return of the Jedi. I was,
It's
what was
not
that,
good.
83?
It did not age well.
No, but if you were 12 years old, it was cool as shit.
Oh yeah.
I was, 83? I was 17.
I thought you were going to say you were 83. I was
I'd already
83.
seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'd seen the bikini scene.
Yep, I'll be right back. One
Yeah.
second.
So Ewoks just didn't do it for me anymore, except that one. Yeah.
Which one?
You know, the one in the...
Wicket?
That's a guy. Ew. Anywho.
James, what do you got
Okay.
to get this back on the rails?
Okay. First off, this is just a throwaway at this point. Citizen Kane.
Okay. So,
Despite it being considered the greatest film of all time and being about the newspaper business.
Right. Check it out.
Never seen it. This one may strike people as weird. Maybe you have to be of my age group for this to be shocking. There's something about Mary.
oh, that's a funny... Is it Coen Brothers, right?
No, it's
Fairly.
Fairly. Okay. But yes,
There's a difference.
yes, there is. It's
a minute difference.
it's a funny movie.
It seemed to be sort of a cultural turning point in comedies.
Oh, for sure. That was the dawn of gross out humor.
Yeah, and it just seemed mean-spirited to me.
A little bit, in parts.
And I just wasn't interested, and it was a turning point for me because really since then, you know, I can count on one hand the number of comedies made since then that I've seen and enjoyed.
That's a fair statement.
Wedding Crashers is one. To me, that was...
Never seen it.
Wow. Man.
That's never, you know, I kind of just stopped trying.
No, I get what you're saying. There
yeah,
were a
I
lot
liked
of...
Anchorman.
It was okay.
It was okay. I mean, as far as comedies...
But, I mean, yeah. That's... There was a turn in, you know, it's the difference between, oh God, I'm going to go off on a whole other thing. It's the difference between early Adam Sandler and more recent Adam Sandler.
Well, what's the...
Well, he's always been bad, but
Happy Gilmore is kind of funny.
Happy Gilmore.
I enjoy Happy Gilmore the most.
Billy Madison.
It's okay.
Those are movies in which...
That's two.
Yeah, but they're significant movies.
Right, but I'm
Happy Gilmore is probably my favorite. My point is, those are movies in which so many of the jokes are at his own expense.
Yes.
That's not the way his later movies are. And that's the way I feel like comedy turned around that late 90s period. So it just became more mean-spirited.
Well, they tried to drop the PC stuff that was starting to take hold and probably just did it in the worst way.
Yeah.
I get what they were trying to do. They were also trying to shock you.
You know, I'm the guy who didn't like Seinfeld because I don't find the cringe funny. I find it uncomfortable.
It's okay.
I get that. When The Office was great, it was really great.
And I didn't like that either.
And when it was just a little off, it was really off-putting.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I didn't like Borat.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to see people put on this, you know, innocent people put on the spot and be made the butt of jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... Judge me harshly. I love Borat. I will watch that.
And I don't judge you by that.
No,
I don't judge people who
I judge you for a lot
There's
of...
something about Mary. But it's just never worked for me. Not, that kind of stuff just doesn't.
Me, Myself, and Irene, however, still makes me snort ugly laugh.
Never saw it.
It's hilarious.
Never saw Cable Guy.
Cable Guy sucks.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of people that swear by it.
I've heard it's a dark...
I don't...
And Cable Guy was interesting. I actually saw that one.
It was. I'll give you.
It wasn't hilarious.
No, not by any stretch.
But God, whoever wrote that script committed to it.
Yeah.
You know, as long...
I've got this idea, and I'm just going to take it wherever it goes.
As long as we're off the rails in this direction, I've got to say, the funniest movies I've seen of the last 20 years tend to be of the mockumentary. Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, that whole troupe.
Yeah, what is the... it's Christopher Guest is kind of the ringleader.
Yeah.
And he just invites all his buddies to improvise on these silly occupations or things. Yeah, what was Mascots on Netflix? It's a whole series of that.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic.
but it's just the creation of it is making fun of itself and so it works on that level because it's not taking itself too seriously.
Unlike Will Ferrell movies, that's where working without a script is actually funny.
Right.
What else you got, James?
Yeah, James.
Okay,
So
this may be the first one on my list that actually bothers you guys. Goodfellas.
Man, yeah,
Yeah.
that's another cultural turning point.
Is it purposeful or is it just never got around to it?
Never got around to it, and it's if I'd been given some sort of reason to go find it, I've just never had a reason to seek it out.
Do you enjoy the Godfather?
That was next on my list.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I've never seen any of the Godfather movies.
Oh my god.
I don't.
Well done. Okay, shock us
Shall
more.
I continue? This one may not bother any of you, but I think at this point in culture, it's probably surprising to a lot of people. Never seen any of the Toy Story movies.
I am really surprised you haven't.
They're quality kids movies. So since you do not have kids, I don't blame you for not. I wouldn't have sought them out if I didn't have to watch them with a child.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the
don't
same
listen
time,
to Ricotta.
yeah,
These are great goddamn movies, and I'm especially surprised he doesn't like them because it was spawned by Joss Whedon.
yeah, and it's also, I mean, it's not. You can say they're kids' movies. I mean, it's cartoon characters, but I mean, as somebody who hasn't seen them, from what I understand, it's really more appealing to the nostalgia of older people in a lot of ways.
It's just solid character, solid storytelling, terrific animation. And yes, you can still call CG animation.
Okay.
Those movies are terrific. I stand by each and every one of them. Like, even their worst movie is better than a lot of the shit that's churned out by the Disney animation studios.
And I stopped watching the Toy Story series when my children aged out of them.
Nope.
So
Okay. I stand by them. If it's on and I have nothing else to do, yep, I'm in.
All right.
And my list goes on. Boogie Nights.
I'm not so. I can see how that one slipped through the cracks.
It's a good movie, but
I know so many people who swear by it.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's a must see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool if you're bored on a Sunday.
If you find it on cable at some point, you won't be disappointed by sitting and watching it.
And don't have cable, probably never will. So
okay, well, whatever you use to steal cable.
Yeah. Netflix. So my next item is sort of a catch-all. As soon as I say that, my phone screen turns off. Silence of the Lambs, Seven, The Shining, or anything else considered great that is also scary.
Do you have an aversion to scary?
Yeah. Do you not like scary movies?
Really, really don't.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then,
there you go.
no reason to. Yeah.
Yeah, they like anything. I don't like to be startled, which throws out the jump scare.
Yeah.
And anything involving like people actually suffering on screen, even though I know it's not real, like causes me actual anxiety.
Did you watch Alien?
But that was an android.
Bob, you're jumping down my list again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Also Psycho.
For the same reason?
No, I got bored. I
I
tried to
can
watch
see
it
that.
and just couldn't make it.
That
through
movie
the
did
whole
not
thing.
age well.
I've never seen Psycho either.
I'm sure for its time it was terrifying because there wasn't anything else like it.
Right.
But man, it did not age well. It's just a boring movie to watch now.
Yeah. So, and this is where I get into this sort of crosses over with Andrew. I have never seen Rocky.
The first? Or
Yes.
any?
I've seen Rocky 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen the original.
The original is the best because it's the least about sports and it's just
Yeah.
about some palooka
Also haven't seen Rocky Balboa or Creed, which were both reportedly very good.
Creed
Rocky
I need to see.
Rocky Balboa was good. I haven't seen Creed.
Movie night.
Yeah, right.
Never seen the original Alien. I've seen Aliens. I've seen Alien 3. I've seen Alien Resurrection.
Well, you don't like to be scared.
Yeah, and
I mean,
And that's the those three that I have seen really aren't scary. They're action movies.
right, and
the first one's plenty scary. The second one is much more action adventure. We think you could do well with it. There are a couple jump scares in it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is the original Alien is definitely
it's a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a horror movie in space.
Whereas Aliens, which I have seen, to me is more of an action movie.
Totally is.
Yeah.
That's Ridley Scott versus James Cameron. You know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
And Resurrection, I don't know why, but I actually kind of like it.
Is it the Whedon thing? Wasn't he the script actor on Resurrection?
Yeah. Okay. I have to rewatch it.
I like Winona Ryder. I thought she was still hot then.
What do you mean?
When did she stop being hot? Yeah.
You're such a sexist pig, James.
Once she was Spock's mom, she just wasn't really...
She was actually really terrific in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Haven't seen.
I'm pretty sure
you will dig that.
That role was
scary
written for her.
I've seen clips of the monster. Don't want to see it.
Okay.
This is like a marital problem.
Go on.
Okay.
That's my life. My wife loves horror movies and scary shit and horror games. And
I can't do horror games. I'm with you on that one. I cannot do like survival horror shit on the PlayStation or Xbox. Can't do it.
There was a game that's like a slasher movie kind of thing that was free for PlayStation Plus this month. I can't remember what it's called now. But it's basically you're playing through a slasher movie and your decisions and like it's not like a Telltale game, but it's you actually do move around and stuff. But there's also a lot of like quick time events and stuff. Where your actions and what you do determine who actually survives and that kind of thing by the end. Trying to get my wife to play it so I feel like I get my free's worth out of it.
Gotcha.
And I could probably watch her play it. I couldn't play it myself.
You are a quirky man, James Post.
Let's see what's left. The Big Lebowski.
Huh.
That's a real cult movie. Unless you're a Coen brother, like whenever the Coens make a movie, I have to see it.
Well, going back to your diatribe about comedies, this is a comedy that is post cringe that you could actually enjoy.
You think?
I think so.
And it's not a laugh out loud comedy by any stretch. It's a snicker to yourself.
As I get older,
it just seems like it's such a cultural touchstone. It gets referenced so much.
It isn't
sure, but don't hold that against the movie. Just because "Who Let the Dogs Out" gets played a ton doesn't mean it's not a good song.
I don't know how to deconstruct that. That's like the when did you stop beating your wife of cultural
I never
statements.
Except when he does this podcast. That's the best hour and a half of her week.
I don't know how to parse that in order to respond to it without starting from first causes.
Let's just edit this out.
Jesus Christ, how do we do this?
Who knows?
I'm blaming the booze, but I don't know what you guys...
We don't do it very well because no one listens, but...
all right, so what's on your list?
The final one on my list, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a good coming-of-age movie. I don't know that now that you are of age, you're not...
You would appreciate the performances. The performances by the core 4 kids.
Yeah.
Each one is fantastic.
Yeah.
Really? They are all really strong. And Richard Dreyfuss voiceover. That's all I got.
Yeah.
We'll be doing something probably cool next week. Maybe we'll
Maybe.
see. We're going to talk about it after the
We'll
show.
try and get a topic worked out, get something posted a little earlier this
Yeah.
time, give people more time to respond.
It's just obvious.
Everyone's schedules suck.
We had obviously planned on devoting more time to this, and then the whole Charlottesville thing went down, and obviously we can't not talk about that. So we may have given this a little more.
Oomph.
Yeah, we may have dived a little more deeply into this topic if we had more time, but Charlottesville is kind of, we had to talk about it.
Yeah. It's a way to really drag things down here.
Well, I was going to end on a different note. I got a real quick note. It's really strange, and I'm not sure what it means. But Robert Kirkman, who created the Walking Dead comic book and is a EP on the Walking Dead television series, is suing AMC, as are a band of other producers from the show. They're claiming AMC is using its corporate structure to funnel funds elsewhere from the show, so the books look off balance. So what the show is actually bringing in, they're diverting some of that to their parent company, the AMC network, and therefore it's not showing up. All that profit isn't showing up on The Walking Dead's books, if that makes any damn sense.
It makes sense. I didn't know networks worked that way.
Apparently this one does, because that's exactly why Frank Darabont left the series after the middle of season 2. So this series is just so maligned all of a sudden. Like, when the creator of the damn thing, who should be happy that he's not just doing comic books and scratching by for a living.
Oh, he's printing money.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really strange note, that because Kirkman has been a guiding light for this show, obviously from day one, and for him to get sue happy on AMC, you got to think something's up.
Well, I know James probably hasn't watched one episode of Walking Dead, so
Right.
It hasn't been good for several seasons.
Well, they keep repeating things. They keep repeating the same scenarios, the same themes.
And that's the problem with an apocalyptic world is,
That's why the Mad Max movies are just movies and not a TV series.
You run out of situations for our heroes to find themselves in.
Yeah.
What? A community of lesbians? Turn it into a 3-camera soap or a sitcom or something. But it's just been bad.
Yeah.
And I admire people who stick with it. I mean, I'm watching it still, but I'm hate watching it.
It's almost like an MST3K thing when you watch it now.
Yes. Yes.
So, just to throw in another weird rumor from the world of pop culture. I don't know if either of you are even aware of Star Trek Discovery.
Aware of it.
This is the new series starting soon.
CBS, right?
CBS developed. It's going to premiere on TV, but then they're going to move it to their streaming service that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
A lot of promotion behind it. Been in development for a while. And rumors out late yesterday, early today, that there's so little confidence behind the scenes in it that they're already working in early development on something else.
Oh, God.
Like another Star Trek project.
Yeah, but the original
relaunch.
the original Star Wars wasn't beloved by the network. It only got 3 seasons?
A little original
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
I mean,
yeah, 2.5 basically.
Right. So, maybe the Trekkies of the world will unite behind this one. And
and this is one of those things where it's, you can't make money with just the hardcore Star Trek fans.
I was going to say, Abrams came the closest with his reimagining, I guess you'd call it. Like those first 2 months.
As a hardcore Star Trek fan, I wasn't really on board with those movies until the third one when he was out. But you can't for a TV series. You can't make money with just hardcore Star Trek fans.
No.
But I don't think you can sustain a series if those people hate it either.
Right.
And, that Jason Isaacs, who's going to be one of the stars, coming out and saying in a presser that he doesn't give a shit whether Star Trek fans like the show or not. They're just making a show. It's been that kind of stuff where they're off message all the time. So don't know where that's going, but not that I had huge hopes for something that was only going to get teased on, that CBS was going to develop themselves, but wasn't going to find a primetime slot for.
I just think Star Trek ran its course a couple decades ago. I mean, The Next Generation was probably its last gasp.
It's Deep Space.
Deep Space Nine is as good as Star Trek ever got.
And how many seasons did that last?
7.
And how culturally significant is it?
Nah.
I mean, that's why at least The Next Generation had some legs.
Yeah.
And you're talking about hardcore Trekkies. The Trekkies are going to watch whatever the fuck you throw in front of them. People like me are going to be very select. Like, I never watched The Next Generation. It was boring as shit. There were low production values. Did not hold my interest. And I think Star Trek has run its course.
Were you just making the argument that hardcore Trekkies are less selective about Star Trek than the general audience? Because I think that's a hard case to make.
Oh, if you put Star Trek logo on something, the Trekkies are there. Good, bad, or indifferent. And then they'll parse out what is better than what. But a general audience like me, I don't ever need to see another goddamn Star Trek movie in the theater ever again. I will just never pay to go see a Star Trek movie. If it's on HBO, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, but that's because of your own sense of cultural superiority.
Yes. Well, because, I mean, it's indisputable that I'm culturally superior to Trekkies like you, James.
And racially superior?
No, certainly not.
And we've come
I am
full circle.
racially equal with all humans. Although superior in some regards.
See, mistakes were made on both sides here, folks.
Star Trek's run its course. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it'll ever be as culturally significant as it once was.
But you never liked it to begin with.
Not really. But I appreciate the significance of it. Like, it was groundbreaking in the 60s. They did some neat things in the 80s in the movies. And the Next Generation got another generation enthused about it. Great. But that's where it ended. Like, it's not reaching across the Trekkie fans anymore.
Okay.
I know it's sad. Why?
I'm pretty neutral about this. I saw the first Abrams movie, and that's as far as I went.
Yeah, and they were trying to action it up, and Star Trek's really never been an action franchise per se.
Well, and they tried to do that before the reboot. They were trying to do that with the Next Generation based movies. They just didn't get it.
The bridge took a hit, and they shook the camera.
Well, when they did First Contact, and they had all the fighting with the Borg and stuff, and it's like we're trying to make. There's a quote from Jonathan Frakes, who played Riker, saying, I think fans want Star Trek to be an action movie, and it's like, no, not really. But
yeah. But something people are looking forward to. You and I are
never going to agree on Star Trek.
No, it's run its course. I don't think there's an agree or disagree there. It's run its course. It served its purpose. Buy the DVD of the good stuff and enjoy that.
Okay.
But something people actually are looking forward to comes out Friday.
Defenders?
Thank you. Can't wait to see this.
No, me either. Although I finally watched Doctor Strange. Great special effects, very thin plot.
Very. Yeah.
Like,
that movie was like, okay, let's hurry up and get this made to get it in the MCU before Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. But the effects
were
a big leap forward for Marvel, who went cheap on effects.
Yes.
I still enjoyed it.
Oh,
it was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Another forgettable Marvel villain.
I know. They get these
And
great actors to play these horrible villains.
And I think I think maybe the thin plot was more forgivable when you were seeing the great effects on a big screen.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I did like the final boss battle, if you will.
Yeah.
One of the most inventive boss battles
Oh,
I've seen
absolutely.
in a while.
Yes.
That was very cool.
But I did not get the feeling that at the end of that movie he was the Sorcerer Supreme. He was still kind of learning.
Yeah, that was an awfully quick jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was almost like power given rather than power earned.
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyway, Defenders coming up on Friday. Can't wait. We'll probably binge watch the whole thing over the weekend. We can talk about it next week.
I got a busy weekend. I don't know.
Oh.
Busy weekend. But the week after that, Guardians 2 comes out on Blu-ray, which I'm equally stoked about.
Are you going to have me up?
And I'll have you over to my place too.
Wah wah.